So, good morning everyone, and especially to our advisor, Mrs. Reviliana Del Mundo. Today I'm going to discuss the revised taxonomy by Bloom's. And first of all, what is revised taxonomy? So, revised taxonomy, it is often referred as Bloom's revised taxonomy. So, its purpose is to provide more comprehensive and nuanced framework for educators to design and implement and assess educational objectives. So, ang purpose di ay or goal sa revised taxonomy is to guide the educators to create a clear learning and lessons and tests. So, the revised taxonomy has two cognitive domains. Two dimensions of cognitive domains. So, the first dimension is the cognitive knowledge. So, the cognitive knowledge, it is to classify and describe the different levels of thinking skills of the students used to process information. So, by this dimension, the teachers, it helps the teachers to understand and target the various cognitive skills that the students should develop, from basic recall of facts to the most complex creation of new ideas. So, the cognitive knowledge has 6 levels of thinking skills. The first one is the remember. The remember, it is to retrieve or recall relevant knowledge from memory. So, as we all know, as a teacher, we all know that our students na sila own stock knowledge. So, when you ask them, they will be able to recall, maka-recall sila og mga relevant memories from the question you ask. So, na sila matubag sa inyong mga question. Now, the second level is to understand. So, it construct meaning from instructional materials. So, after they recall, maka-construct sila or maka-interpret sila og paragraph. Maka-answer sila by that. They can construct the answer. Now, the third level is the apply. It use information in new situations. So, after constructing, they will apply those new ideas para makakonstruct sila new na pod nga ideas para maput sa new situation. Now, the fourth level of cognitive knowledge is the analyze. So, it breaks down information into parts and understand its structure. So, the students will analyze that what they applied in the new situation or the new structure they made. The fifth level is the evaluate. So, it make judgments based on criteria and structure standard. Criteria and standard. Now, they will make judgments sa ilahang gibuhat nga analyzation. The most complex level is the create. Now, after all the understanding, the apply, the analyzation, and the evaluation, they will lastly create a new idea. Now, put elements together to form a coherent whole or produce something new. So, after those analyzation, understanding, evaluation, and recalls, they will able to create or put those ideas together to create something new. And that is the levels of the cognitive knowledge. Now, the second dimension is the knowledge dimension. So, the goal of the knowledge dimension is to classify and organize. So, kung earlier, ang cognitive knowledge, iyahang goal is to classify and describe. So, sa knowledge dimension, iyahang goal is to classify and describe the different types of knowledge that students are expected to acquire and use. So, it includes the type of knowledge that students are expected to acquire. So, the knowledge dimension, ang goal jud ni ani kay to classify and describe kung unsa jud ang mga knowledge nga ma-acquire or expected nga ma-acquire sa mga students. There are four categories only. The first one is the factual knowledge. So the factual knowledge, it is the basic elements students must know to be acquainted with a discipline or solve problems within it. So ang goal sa factual knowledge is to ma-ensure ang mga students nga na sila'y necessary foundational information such as terminology and specific facts. So, i-ensure na dyan sa factual knowledge nga ang just like mag-recall sila na sila'y stock knowledge. That is the factual knowledge. Na sila'y stock knowledge about such knowledge. So the conceptual knowledge is the interrelationships among the basic elements within a larger structure that enable them to function together. So ang goal aning conceptual knowledge is to help students understand sa mga connection sa concepts o ideas sa usa ka lessons. Dayon, it helps them dig deeper sa mga ideas like theories, models, and principles. The third category is the procedural knowledge. So, how to do something, methods of inquiry, and criteria for using skills, algorithms, and techniques and methods. So, basically, its goal is to equip students with the skills and methods na need nila to perform a task and solve problems. So this is just about the methods that the students will use on how to solve each problem na ilang ma-encounter. Now, the last category in the knowledge dimension is the metacognitive knowledge. So from the word metacognitive, it is the awareness and understanding of one's own cognition. So knowledge about cognitive tasks and including an appropriate conditional knowledge and self-knowledge. So it develops students' ability to reflect on their own learning and thinking process. So here's a metacognitive they will able to reflect so unsay nabuhat nila sa after the creation of the new idea nga ilang giput together. So diri maka-reflect sila nga mao di ay ni ang amo ang na-make, mao di ay ni ang mga process nga amo ang giagian para just to make this thing happen. Now, if we put both together, the cognitive and knowledge dimension, I have a situation here as an example. So the first level sa cognitive knowledge is the remember. So remember is to recognize and recall, and the four categories of knowledge dimension will ato ang ibutang ang recall sa four categories. So example, the teacher asked unsa ang ingredients sa kare-kare. So the students will remember and list it down sa mga ingredients sa kare-kare because that is the fact. So facts means factual knowledge. So the second one is the conceptual. The conceptual diba after that nag-list sila sa kuan, after nila ma-recall ang ingredients sa kare-kare, the teacher will ask unsa di ay ang kare-kare. So the students will identify or describe the kare-kare as a Filipino dish. Now, in the procedural, the teacher will ask unsay steps sa paghimo sa kare-kare. So after the listing the ingredients, after identifying what is kare-kare, the students will recall the steps on how to cook the kare-kare. Now, the fourth and the last category is the metacognitive. So after those steps, they will review the task and kung na-accomplish ba nila in cooking kare-kare, kung na-accomplish ba nila ang paghimo sa kare-kare, and they will reflect on it. So the second level of cognitive dimension is the understand. So it has interpret, classify, exemplify, summarize, and etc. So the first category in the knowledge dimension is the factual, of course. So in the example here, summarize the features of the latest smartphone model. So the students will exemplify or classify that this is the features of the new model of the smartphone. So after that, in the conceptual, they will classify the smartphones according to operating system. And after classifying, they will go to the procedural, which is they will describe or interpret the procedures of sending group messages using cell phones. They will like, oh, this is how we send, or this is how the procedures on how to send messages in the group chat using cell phones. Now, the last category is the metacognitive. So after classifying, identifying, and summarizing, they will choose the best strategies, no, to adjust quickly in using a different smartphones. Now, the third level is the apply. There is a execute and implement. So the first one is the factual. So use facts in answering questions. So the students will execute the given task. No, they will use facts in answering the question. Now in the conceptual, they will demonstrate coherence in answering questions. So after executing and answering the question using facts, they will demonstrate it. Now after the demonstration, there's a procedural. Of course, they will follow the PQ4R steps in reading a chapter, and that is the procedural. And the fourth one is they will use the best study strategy to overcome one's weakness. So the fourth level is the analyzation or the analyze. Here it has differentiate, organize, and attribute. So in the factual, they will analyze the facts. They will identify. Example here is identify the keywords in the definition of anger. So they will identify and differentiate or organize the definition of the anger. In the conceptual, they will analyze the concepts. They will identify triggers of anger among teenagers. In the procedural naman, they will analyze the procedures. They will be able to examine the different steps family members take to manage anger. So they will organize gihapon. Now in the last category is the metacognitive. They will analyze the metacognitive knowledge. For example, they will reflect on one's ability to manage anger. So they will organize or attribute one's ability to manage anger. Now the second to the last level is the evaluate. So they will check and critique the knowledge. Now in the factual, they will evaluate the facts. Such example, they will select the most complete list of investment banks. Now in the conceptual naman, they will evaluate the concepts. Such example, they will critique the different views about financial literacy. And in the procedural, they will evaluate the procedures. Of course, they will choose the best ways to invest the money. Now in the metacognitive evaluate, they will evaluate the metacognitive knowledge. Example, they will assess one's financial literacy. We are at the last level of our cognitive dimension, which is the create. So we have the generate and plan and procedure. So in the factual, they will create the facts. So for example, for that is the produce a presentation showing award-winning adobo recipes. That is facts. Now in the conceptual naman, they will create concepts. So they will write an informal essay about what authentic adobo is. So diba, they will just create the concept. Now in the procedural, they will create the procedures. So to create the new recipe for cooking adobo. Now lastly, they will create the metacognitive knowledge. Example of that is they will make a project about adobo as a Filipino dish based on one's talents. And that's it. Now, so this guide is very helpful, especially to the teachers, no, because this will formulate the learning objectives. Now, in the cognitive dimension levels, the remembering, the recalling of information, there's a lot of sample action words. So as we all know that in the cognitive dimension, they will use a verb as an example, and in the knowledge dimension, they will use nouns. Now, we have sample action words here, and there are suggested activities, outputs, or outcomes in the remember, like recitations, worksheets, definitions, fact charts, and lists. So it's very accurate because in the recitations, they will able to recall the lessons you have taught in the past days. Now, in the understand naman, there's an explaining information and concepts. Now, there's also a lot of action word, sample action words. Now, the suggested activities are the story problems, drawing, show and tell, summary, and paraphrasing. So, they will show what they have understand in the whole class. Now, in the apply, they will use information in a new way. So, there's also a lot of sample action words, and the sample suggested activities are the presentation, role playing, simulation, collection, model, scrapbook, and product. So, they will present and they will apply what new information they have acquired. Now, in the analyzation naman, or analyze, distinguishing different parts of a whole. Now, there's a lot of sample action words as well. And the suggested activities are chart, plan, questionnaire, spreadsheet, summary, and survey. Now, in the evaluate, they will define a concept or idea. They will assist and the suggestive activities are opinion, judgment, recommendations, report, self-evaluation, position paper, and critics. So, they will report the new ideas they have acquired because that is an evaluation. And create, of course, the most complex of creation of new ideas is the create. And they will create something new. And the suggested activities are framework, model, story, multimedia, presentation, poem, haiku, song, and essay. In conclusion, in summary, the real goal or purpose of this taxonomy or revised taxonomy is to provide a clear learning ideas for the teachers and the students. So, it provides a structured approach to education, ensuring that teaching methods, learning activities, and assessment are aligned with well-defined objectives. Now, this will help students develop a comprehensive range of skills and knowledge, promoting deeper learning and critical thinking. As for the teachers naman, or for the educators, it supports reflective practice and continuous improvement in teaching strategies. And this will ultimately lead to better educational outcomes. So, my opinion is that this taxonomy is designed for great, more comprehensive ideas for educators and students.